Sentire Media.
All right, lots of energy this morning. Good morning. It's the second half of May. I'm Jason.
Ciao, I'm Ashley.
And we are doing another podcast here for the podcast from Italy, La Tavola Marche, our little agriturismo in the idyllic Candigliano Valley.
What a setup.
What a setup. We had our first guest come and go. Today is a beautiful, warm, rainy, that constant straight rain of spring where it's warm outside, but it's raining. And
It's bringing back good Seattle memories for me. I am loving it. Shorts, but with a hooded sweatshirt. Yep. Perfect.
So we have a list of cleaning to do today since all the outside projects are put on hold for the rain. So this podcast has always been and will continue to be brought to you by Procrastination.
Our number one sponsor.
Yeah, our number one sponsor of the podcast from Italy.
I say we jump right into it. You broke the plow.
Yeah, I broke the plow. So we talked about it last time. I got my plow and proceeded to break it after like 3 passes through the garden.
I think you were waiting to get it.
Was I waiting to get it?
Uh-huh.
Are you sure? No.
Okay.
Anyway. Doesn't matter. It's broken. It's fixed now, though. I tore off both of the mold boards and twisted the whole thing up because I bought a cheap plow.
Well, how did you break it?
I broke it because probably I don't know what I'm doing.
Ding, ding, ding. Pew, 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 pew. I think we got a winner on that one. You got excited?
Got excited. It was dry. I got gaslit by my neighbor. I went over to Basilio's house and he told me, you could do it. It's not that hard. Here's what you do. You level it out.
Sweet 80-year-old guy.
Yeah, he's like, you could do it. It's not the hardest thing in the world. You know, and even if you don't do it perfectly, it doesn't matter. As long as you flip over the earth. All right, I could do it. I'm a big boy. I'm a farmer now. I can do it. No, you can't. I destroyed the plow.
In how many passes?
3 or 4. Like, not a lot of time.
I started to take a couple of pictures and get a video, and I was like, I'm going to have to get, like, a before and after. It's just the before. It's like the 3 passes, 4 passes, and it was like... Then all of a sudden you heard it stop, and it was like, uh-oh.
So I bought a cheap plow on the internet. So the good company that all the oldies agree upon is called Nardi. And their plows are like one of those that you buy for life kind of thing. A new one is out of the question as far as price. And the used one...
Because of the amount we would use the plow.
Yeah.
So let's talk prices. It's about...
Oh, a brand new one is like 5,000 or 6,000 euros.
Okay.
And a used one is in the 2 to 3s.
Okay.
And I don't want to spend that much because I don't really plan on plowing I need a plow this year and I need a plow to break ground in the future, but I don't need the top of the line and I don't want to spend that much. And a used one is like 2 or 3 times what it was new back in 1980 something.
Also, because you're looking for a smaller.
I'm looking for a smaller plow for a smaller tractor, and it's not easy to find
Because it's not as common.
No, not at all. So I knew this going in, so I bought the cheap Chinese one
from
Delix. And
it's Chuck Norris approved.
It
though.
is, but it's built. It's made
on the website.
It's made in China and then shipped to Italy and assembled. Not even assembled.
They just put like some stickers on it.
Anyway,
it says made in Italy.
It lasted 20 minutes. So I took it to the fabricator, and he, first of all, gave me an ear beating on why am I buying this cheap crap? What do you look at this? Well, you really tore it up. You torqued it here and you twisted it there.
This is a guy who ran his business. I don't know because he moved, right?
Yeah.
But he ran his business out of like the back of a shed, and it's just also hilarious, like that he's just yelling at Jason.
Not yelling at me, but
yeah, giving you like
giving me an ear beating. Yeah, I know. So he reinforced everything. He changed all the hardware. He straightened everything out. And now it should be reinforced enough that I can hopefully pull it. It's rated for the same horsepower as my tractor.
So where does that leave us for the garden, though?
So the garden this year is, so once that happened, it's like, all right, I'm now not going to be able to flip this garden. So we are now doing a totally different type of gardening this year. We moved most of the food upstairs around the house, and we're doing buckets and pots and raised beds around the house and much smaller. So this year we have 20-something tomatoes instead of 200 to 400. I did 100 onions instead of 5.
1,000.
Yeah. So much different. And totally different. It's kind of interesting now this year because it's now different. Now I have different problems and different things I have to work out. And
you still decided to do a couple rows down in the garden near the annual or near the things that come back, like the carciofi.
Yeah, just because we
needed the space.
And
because if it was just us for the irrigation for watering, we could have some of the tubes that come from the sulfuric water to be able to help with the irrigation. But with the guests, because you wouldn't really care. It's just your home. But with the guests, you can't have all these tubes laying around and hoses. And so I think also moving some of this extra, what we thought we were going to put more pots of tomatoes, moving them down to the garden, and just having like the 2 rows will help with some of that.
Well, yeah, new challenges. I have to pull water. I don't want to use the water from the house for watering all these vegetables around it. I have to pull water now from the well and figure that out. And so different challenges. So for the garden this year, my plan with my brand new awesome dump truck is to go get as much manure this summer as I possibly can. I want to throw 15 centimeters over the whole ground, a big, ankle deep of manure, and then flip it over this summer, let it sit, and then start for the autumn garden and hopefully repair my soil a little bit and just do it right. Why rush it? Why? I already broke my tractor once, or broke it once, so that's the plan for this year. And then starting in probably August, to put in the autumn stuff. So what do I mean by the autumn stuff? The cabbages and the escaroles and the...
Do you grow kale?
Sprouches and the sprouts and the kale.
Is the Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts and the kale and all that kind of stuff. So that's the plan around here.
Well, so speaking of the garden and kind of what's growing, we took the guests the other day into the woods behind the house to go mushroom hunting, and the mushroom hunters have started coming back to the area. I ran into one the other day, and he kept saying, honestly, davvero, there are no mushrooms back there. And I was like, I'm just walking the dogs. Like, I'm not going back, and I believe you. I don't think you're lying to me. Then he also got really nervous that I was walking into the woods wearing shorts, and he goes, whoa. What are you doing wearing those short pants? There could be snakes. There could be vipers. Like, oh, I'm just taking the dogs. We're turning around in a second. But Elio, one of the local oldies who's retired from Urbana, he comes by. It's like that season is back, and we don't see him pretty much all winter. And then he starts coming early spring, kind of scouting out the mushrooms. And now we see his car parked or hear him passing every, couple days. He waits. Typically, you're supposed to wait 10 days after the rain, but I don't think he has anything else to do.
No, he loves walking through the woods, and the dogs know him now, so Leroy runs up to him, and it's funny to see this tiny old guy pat Leroy on the head like a little kid. He also helped. He was also did masonry. He worked for the commune, for the municipality as what was he? He
loves to tell the same story like 500 times, and he will stop and say, over the winter when there was no mushrooms, and he stopped by, or late spring or early spring, sorry. I used to I learned the mysteries of being a moratore, but I didn't really like it. And I was like,
a mason.
Of a mason. And I was like, whoa, wait, we have a issue with our wood oven, and we need to do some work on it. You want to take a look? And he was like, oh, sure. So he came down, took a look, had a chat with Jason, said, I'll come back by. We only need a few supplies, and we'll work on it. Give me a call. Remind me. He showed up the next morning.
With all the supplies.
All
the supplies. We were not ready to do it, but we did.
It was It's like, whoa.
So, we did a Band-Aid on a bullet wound kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it did not. And the first fire of the, I really tried to bring the wood oven up slowly. I started a week ahead of time making tiny fires so that the expansion of what we laid down on the base was nice and slow and even. It didn't matter. The whole thing's cracked.
Well, you want to say why we had to get it fixed?
We went over this over the winter.
Okay.
Guarantee.
Okay.
So I think this is it. This is the final year of this pizza oven, this wood oven, and next year we will have to finally replace it. There's no repair. There's no going back. If you the way it's in, it's all enclosed in the wall of the outdoor kitchen, and to do a real repair, we have to bust up all the stucco above it, take out the giant wooden beam and the stone that encases it, and to do all that work to repair something that's already...
Probably some of the roof and chimney.
Yep, we have to take off roof tiles and get down into it. So to do all that work to repair something that's probably 30 years old, 35 years old, and was not it's just a kit. It's not the old school, stone. Mm-hmm. So it's time to get a new one. That stinks.
It does. It's both exciting and like, oh my gosh.
It's not a huge project that I want to it doesn't excite me to undertake that project.
Well, exciting like to have something new and a new project over there, but then I also think, oh God, if we start ripping into that, yeah.
That sounds expensive.
Well, it sounds expensive, but also what else will we do out there? Like you were talking about a new sink.
Nope. We've already been down this road.
I know. Then we start redesigning whole outdoor.
Over the winter, we started talking about it, and then it went from, all right, we have to replace the pizza oven to an entire redesign of the outdoor kitchen with 3-phase 400-volt power. And
that's you.
No. It's just what's broken. Let's just fix what's broken.
We're going to try to stick to that. What else?
So thank you, Elio, for giving it the old college try. Hey, it was, $50 in supplies and a morning of work, and who knows if it worked, it was great, but it's already crumbling.
Oh, that's the way the Porno crumbles, I guess. God. Yeah. Speaking of the mushroom hunters, I was doing an interview the other day for a podcast called Flavor of Italy, and the woman was asking me about our dogs and said, "Oh, are your dogs truffle hunting dogs, or are you teaching them to truffle hunt?" And I said, "No. Do you want me to get into why?" And she just stopped for a second and goes, "No, so tell me more about the farmhouse," or whatever. And I thought it was really interesting because I thought, oh, maybe you do know a bit about the dark side. We don't want truffle. We're not training our dogs to be truffle hunting dogs because it can be incredibly dangerous. One, the first thing is people have asked about Leroy, and Gaggi has said from the beginning we can't train him to be a truffle hunting dog because people would just make fun of him because he's too big. He'd always say they would just make fun of him. And Maggie's got a good nose and a good food drive. But, man, what happens out here is not uncommon in other truffle areas. And the truffle hunting dogs are what you need to find the truffles because they're buried underground. And it is highly competitive. And what people, unfortunately, will do, unsavory folk, will at times poison the dogs, and they will take things like meatballs.
Well, back it up. Back it up a little bit. The truffle hunter is out of commission. If you get rid of your dog, the truffle hunter is out of commission. It's not like you can just go down to the store and buy another dog. You have to train them up, and it takes years and years and years. So it puts other people out of commission for years. Number two is the truffles always come back to the same spot all the time. So these hunters spend more time covering their tracks than they do anything else.
Some truffles will move around the forest based on boar eating them and pooping and the spores getting spread. But for the most part,
it's like a fishing,
the guys
it's
know
like a fishing
their areas.
hole. Yeah.
And now with iPhones and like the GPS being able to tag your spot, they really know where to go back to.
So what they do is they'll make a big perimeter, like maybe a 10-meter perimeter around a good area, and they'll bait it with poisonous meatballs, usually with truffle oil or something on there. And
they'll use arsenic. They'll use motor oil. It's terrible.
And there's been several dogs in our valley we've been here a while now that have been killed. It's just not worth. And I don't even like them.
The truffles.
Yeah, they're fine.
Oh, to have our dogs be trained to do that?
Yeah.
Well, not enough for the risk either.
Well, and most of the people who do this are older, and it's big money. Well, they can make more in a day than your pension pays in several months. So whenever you involve high value in something like that, things get weird.
I know. It's a sad truth that no one wants to quite understand also why the cost is so high. But that's why we do not have truffle hunting dogs.
Also, to get these dogs to really drive for those things, they starve them.
Some of them do.
Most of the time. Because otherwise, if your dog is full and happy, they're not as interested in chasing truffles.
Well, the guys who we go with for our truffle hunting holidays at the end of October, early November, they do it out of joy.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby.
We're talking about professional guys who there are many of them around here. We know all the cars who that's their income for
Oh my gosh,
the
how
year.
about the guys who would come at like 3, 4 in the morning?
Yeah.
I remember when the Forestale wanted to do the sting, and they had asked us if there had been any suspicious activity or people hunting at the wrong times, and we said, yeah. In fact, there's this Fiat. He keeps coming early and trudging through, and he goes, oh. And they were so excited, and they came back the next day and said, we want to do a sting. We're going to hide in the woods. It was hilarious. But they left their car on the side of the road. It was like or in our driveway where the guy was going to come into. It was like, how is this such a sting? But the guys who we go with are excellent. And because Jason said it's not a profession for them, it's more of a hobby. Their dogs are well fed, and they do it for the enjoyment of the sport in the sense of going out and exercising versus doing something like soccer, or as a great way to connect with their animal. Or one of them is a farmer and likes to do this as another way to check on the fields and just survey the whole land as he trudges through everything looking for the truffles. But join us if you want for a sane and safe truffle hunt at the end of our season, at the end of October and early November, when we do the 2 truffle hunts, one for white truffles, and that's the off the beaten path over the hills through the woods, and the other is at our neighbor Roberto's farm, and that one is for black truffles in more of a cultivated field, or I should say orchard. And then we
cultivate in the sense that he puts the trees.
He inoculates the soil,
so it's kind of half cultivated, half natural. Because you kind of set up the right environment, and then hopefully nature takes over.
Well, and nature takes over because you won't see results for 10 to 12 years.
It's not like planting corn where it just comes up.
Not at all. But that is a true experience. And then we go to the kind of culmination of the holiday is a visit to the White Truffle Festival in Aquilania. And we have a whole aperitivi and sampling of truffle dishes there. And all of the vendors are there with things you can take home and the music. And it's a whole sight to see for sure.
Yeah, it's a good one, the one in Aquilania.
It is really fun.
And when is that?
The end of October, the last week of October, and the first week of November.
And how would people email you?
If you want to find us, you can check it out on latavolamarque.com, the truffle hunting holiday. So let's talk slice of life. What's been going on besides the garden and what's growing?
You went up to Tell Your Bold and Beautiful.
Oh my God. Okay. Talk about a miscommunication or real life telephone where it gets distorted as it runs down the line. Jason hears from Fujiani that I get told I need to go up to this farmhouse and meet some journalists. There's some American journalists visiting and to help promote the area and talk about La Marque. Great. I love it. Jason's like, we're invited to some lunch, but you just do it. I don't want to go.
I think he assumed I think it was more like tell Ashley too.
And I was like, done and done. You know I love this stuff. Hilariously, if you were to be able to walk to that farmhouse from our house, it is about 4.6 kilometers. However, you cannot walk there. You must drive. And it is over 45 minutes.
Well, because
you
it's
have
up
to
and
go.
over. It's up and over the hills at the end of the valley. As the crow flies, it's right there. It's literally right here.
It's right here.
But there's no walking. Well, it was whatever.
I just meant as a direct shot.
You have to go all the way around the hill to the backside, and it's 45 minutes.
It's over 45 minutes. It's hilarious. So I go up there, and I find this farmhouse, and I get there, and I'm thinking, this is a little quiet. This is weird. I'm thinking it's like a press trip, which we've hosted, or I've gone and done these chats before just to kind of talk up the area since I speak English and love it. And so there's a woman who pops out, and I said, hi, I'm here to meet the journalists and something. She goes, oh, they went to ride horses. So I said, okay, great. So there's a horse riding spot just before the farmhouse. I go back up the road. And I get there, and there's no one there. There's a couple Italian cowboys on their horses, and I'm thinking, oh, no. I've missed them, and they've gone horseback riding now for like an hour or two to do one of these like press trips and check out the area on a horseback. And I go to talk to one of the guys, and he's like, oh, they're coming back. They just went for a short trip. And I was like, okay, great. He said, oh, they're coming back right now. One guy comes out of the woods, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Where's this journalists? Like, what's going on? And I go and talk to a guy who looks like he's the capo, like the leader of the group, this old Italian guy. And I say, Fusciani. And our landlord sent me up here, and he's buddies with Fush. So that's how we got connected. And he's like, oh, yeah. I'm so glad you're here. There's someone so important you need to meet. He is a very important actor from America, and he is on the show Beautiful. And I was like, what the hell is he talking about? What is Beautiful? Why am I here? What's going on? Where are the journalists? And I go and meet the guy, he introduces me, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And the guy's, he was on Bold and the Beautiful for 30 years, and he has lived in Italy for like 14 years. He speaks Italian, has an Italian kid, and does different press things and news stuff, and he's doing something for the Quarter Horse Society and places for people with these great horses to come and like travel around central Italy with their horse. And so they were making this beautiful video about this area. But I'm like, why am I here? And the guy's probably thinking, why the hell did they call? Why is she here? We're just talking for a minute and walking, and he's going to go do some walk and talk shot in the stables. And I'm like thinking, all right. So I chat with him for a second, and then I go into just like marketing mode. And I'm like, well, if you guys decide to use this area, in the fall, there's Truffle Rich, and there's the truffle festivals, and Apecchio's known for its beer and all this stuff. And it's like, then I'm like, what am I even doing? Just autopilot. He goes and does this thing. I start talking to some of the cowboys, and I was thinking, okay, well, I hear they're going to do this shot out in the like corral arena with all the horses, and then do a couple other shots and have lunch. And I know I'm invited to lunch, but I don't need to stay here. I'm just going to watch them do this thing with all the horses running around because that sounds kind of cool, and then I'll take off. And of course, also the Italians keep getting yelled at for being too loud during the filming, so we have to go outside and whatever. So we're starting to walk over to the corral. The horses are coming in, and one of the cowboys says, do you know how to ride a horse? And I said, yeah. And he said, all right, you're going to ride this one. And I was like, wait, what? Well, it ends up I'm the same height as the actor, and this was the horse he was riding earlier. He's going to do a shot where all the horses are running around. He's talking on the side, and then he's going to end up getting back on the horse. And since I'm the same height, they don't have to adjust the saddle, the straps, stirrups, anything like that. So it's like, okay, great. I go to get on, I'm thinking, oh my God, two things. One, I have not been on a horse in 20 years. Two, I have a groin injury that I need to seek medical attention for already. Let's see how this goes. Maybe we're just going to do a little walk around. Maybe these are like, I don't know what the hell a quarter horse is. Let's just do a little walk around. Okay. My horse, I get on, sees that we're heading for the corral, the arena, whatever it's called, takes off. As soon as we get in, he just starts little trot, and we're going full gallop, and he's starting to do like rings in this thing, and I'm like, what the hell? I don't know how to speak horse to in Italian. Is you still just go whoa? I'm like, oh my god, I am going to die. And Andy's so embarrassed. They're filming, like I don't want to look like a spaz out there either. And then I'm like, ferma, like, oh, stop. I don't know. Then thankfully he takes a break and wants to start eating. All the other horses come in, everyone's chatting and stuff, and everyone's real nice. They decide they want to do a shot at the back with all the horses together, milling around. But it doesn't look great if they're not really moving. So the guys, all of these cowboys, I'm the only chick on a horse. All these cowboys start saying, all right, let's do this maneuver. We'll do the figure eights. I'm like, what the I don't know any of these routines. I get in line and we start doing a figure eight, and then my horse just doo takes off going the other way and doing circles, and it was like, oh my god. Anyway, it was a blast. I found out later the definition of a quarter horse, which is...
Oh, they're bred to run a quarter of a mile. Sprint a quarter of a mile.
So these are fast horses. I was like, oh my god. It maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes being on the back of one, and I thought, I've got to get off. Also, thank God it was ready for them to switch over, and because I thought now I am going to hurt myself. But when I came home, Jason was so disappointed because he was like, you got to ride a horse? I want a horse. They kept trying to convince me we should buy a horse or two, and it was a blast. So Italian cowboys really do exist. The funny thing is, though, I did ask one of them, who was a spitting image for Kevin Costner, except for his gigantic chompers when he smiled. He confirmed my sad reality. There is no such thing as a rodeo in Italy. Stop looking. Every summer we go like, let's go to a rodeo.
Oh yeah, because we'll see things for like up north,
yes.
Between like Germany and
yes, and there's some like country western rodeo show, and he was like, it is not what you think it is. And
you're going to be highly disappointed.
You're going to be highly disappointed. I thought, thank you for telling me the truth. Fine, I'll get over it.
Other things, other little slice of life things we had going on in the last month or so is funeral. Since most of our people we know are getting up there in age, it seems more and more we're going to more funerals.
Well, and our friends are friends of Gaggi and Rosanna's, so they're all up there too.
So we went to one in Fano here. Lana, she passed away. She was 90.
Something 89, 90.
So no spring chicken. She had a beautiful long life, beautiful children, beautiful grandchildren.
Great family.
We should all be so
absolutely
fortunate.
She was one of these women. First of all, I loved her because she was tall, and there's not a lot of like taller Italian women around. So her and her daughter, I always felt like they're my people. And two, she was one of these women who she'd come to the lunches that Gaggi and Rosanna would host at our place, or that we'd throw for them and their friends, and always dressed perfect, like with the accessories or the big chunky jewelry and the scarves. Yes, the jewelry was still probably from 73, 1973.
Doesn't matter. She was a great looking grandma.
Yes,
she
kept it together and
made
was
the
wonderful.
best crostata I've ever had, or ever will have. Lana's fig crostata with sliced almonds on top. Delicious.
Thin sliced toasted almonds on top. It was the best.
So anyway, we went to her funeral, and we were part of the funeral party because Gaggi is how are they related? So
Gaggi's nephew married this woman's daughter.
Okay, there you
and
go.
Since Gaggi, since they all live in Fano, they're all close friends. Gaggi and Aunt Lana and Tony, they are around the same age, so they just do tons of stuff together.
Yeah, we've seen photos
close.
from the early 80s of them doing things together,
yes.
For forever.
So we're sitting in row 2.
Yeah, we're in row 2. We're part of the funeral party.
Yes.
Which normally we're not part of the funeral party.
No, you're like, we're sitting on a back wing. Gaggi wants to be close. He wants to be in the back. So, and even if it's his family, but so we get there, and immediately there's some, as the family starts gathering, there's
in the church.
We're sitting in the pews. There's an envelope that's being passed around, but it's closed. Rosanna rips it open like an animal. And sees there's cash in there, and they start collecting cash from everyone in loud whispers to the family. We need cash, $50. Send it down. $50, €50, send it down.
This is not being done inconspicuous.
Oh, no.
There's 50 people in the whole church.
They're looking for a pen and finishing it when the priest is coming out and starting to
Now, this is not, also let me set the scene. This is not like an old Italian church that you're thinking of. This is a converted gymnasium that is one of those modern Catholic churches.
It had a weird, pneumatic chute above the cross. Was this to send your soul up? It was what is this for? It was so
it was just
bizarre.
piping for the building.
I think so too, but it looked weird. I was like, or does the Eucharist come through here? What is going on?
So there's a loud commotion in front of this church as the priest is coming in.
I'm sitting next to Rosanna, so I'm in the middle.
Rosanna's got a fistful of cash in her hand that she's kind of waving around and counting out, and they're trying to add
names.
Down.
They're trying to add names to this card, and then they realize the card wasn't even from who they thought it was from. And then she goes, "Wait, who's this?" And it was you ripped it open. I don't know. So that was how it started,
which was it was, listen, I know it's a funeral and all, but this was funny.
It was classic. Gaggi immediately stomps his feet up onto the genuflectorium, the kneeler, and proceeds throughout the mass to be so loud that his nephew has to...
He keeps talking to his sister next to him. But Gaggi's not... He talks a lot
he just has no couth. He's got no inside voice. He's Gaggi. He just does what he wants. So he's just talking to his sister, and the his nephew, who's the one whose wife's mom just passed away, has to turn around and tell him to be quiet. And then Gaggi says, "Why?" I hear him start arguing with him in church.
He did say why.
I know.
And he's like, because we can all hear you.
I know.
Okay, also the priest. The priest, first of all, his homily was great. He had a really good homily. He talked about how we should celebrate her life, because I don't understand why it's always so sad when this woman lived till 90 years old, and we should have... I don't know. I just have a different take on it.
I know.
I don't look at it as... I know people's parents died, but... Bea, you're in your late 50s.
She was shaking the whole time.
You're in your late
she's been
50s.
Sick for a long time.
Yeah, she lived till 90. We should all be so... Anyway, the priest who comes out, he has a giant gauze thing on the top of his head towards his forehead, from where it's a wound or something. He must have been in his 80s. His boy, altar boy, 72.
No, and Rosanna, when he came out, the old guy, the priest, the old guy, they're both old. The priest came out. She goes, "Oh, he's a good one."
He was a good one. His homily was, I thought it was excellent.
Hilariously, going back to the money story, we get a text message the day after the funeral from Rosanna with a bonifico, a bank transfer information, our names on it. We're like, "What's going on? I don't understand what this is for." She goes, "You know what? I decided I don't like that church. We're giving the money somewhere else." Yeah, she just, all of it. The whole thing was hilarious. Anyway,
he was real heavy with the incense, though.
Oh, the frankincense?
Yes.
Big time.
We were all, the whole first row, when he came to do the frankincense on the casket, everyone got choked out. Mm-hmm. It was on both sides of the aisles. I was...
Oh, what is with, there's a whole, I'm sure we've talked about this because we've talked about other funerals before, But there is a whole industry on not only the hearse and hearse driver, but the pallbearers. It's not ever the family.
No.
It's always sharp dressed young Italians.
Sharp,
and
tight fitted
super
suits.
tight suit. Their suits are super fitted. These guys were a little more normal fit, I think, but like out here where the shirts are just like bulging, it's hilarious.
And they always get into like a Maserati or
Yes.
some kind of hearse that's all done up. Yeah, none of the family does it. And again, we talked about this. It's one of the only industries that things happen. Quick. She died on Sunday.
And the funeral was on
Tuesday morning. Yeah.
Yep.
So that means everything's printed up. The funeral parlor, the whole thing.
Oh, the only thing that wasn't finished being planned was Rosanna's
that's
side
right.
lunch that she was inviting people because she didn't think they were invited to the family lunch. You're not invited to the family lunch, are you? All right, you can come to the lunch that I'm hosting at this fish restaurant.
So a couple of things that are different from Italian funeral versus American ones. One, no one dresses up. The family were dressed up, but like when you come to the funeral, a lot of puffy coats and jeans.
Yeah.
And no one's dressed up. And number two,
We thought there was the homeless guy because they ran out of Eucharist halfway through, but we didn't know what was going on. And some guy was so dressed up for the funeral, we thought he was homeless and just was talking the priest's ear off.
because the priest had a look on his face like, okay, move it along, and then then
finally the altar boy comes out and has the altar elderly comes out and has like another little bowl of Eucharists, and it was like, oh, that's what's happening.
And the third difference is food. You would think that in a town after a thing like this, there'd be everyone goes to someone's house for a huge spread food kind of thing. No. Sometimes the family will go
like
out.
Immediate family
will go out to lunch, but there's nothing. It's a service. It's mass, and that's it. And then you can also follow the casket to the cemetery and watch the Masons put the casket actually in. It's really like final. It's a very much a closed thing. When you see someone with cement and bricks and they're putting the thing and closing the wall, it's
buona notte.
But this one was, we were a week away from our first guest, so we couldn't go to lunch or couldn't do any of that.
I don't think we were even a week away. I think it was the same week they were showing up. So it was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, it was, crunch time. So no one expected us to stay. But so we were not invited to the lunch after. But speaking of religious events, I did not go to the First Communion. I was not invited to the First Communion itself, but I did get invited to go to drinks. For the First Communion party by one of our cleaning ladies. She's super sweet, Barbara. She's also a substitute teacher in town, and she has a 10-year-old. And we were trying to organize when she was going to start coming back for working with the season restarting. And she said, "Oh, I wanted to invite you to the party." And so she just sent a message saying, "Come for a toast in the afternoon." And I was like, "What does that mean?" Because Jason was like, 5 or 6. But I'm like, it's a kid's communion, which has to be at like 10 in the morning. So maybe the afternoon is like 2 or 3, like a post-early lunch drink. And I was not quite sure.
And then you thought, does this mean aperitivi at 7?
Yeah,
Like, no.
I was like, I don't quite know what time I'm supposed to go. Well, I thought I was going to go around 4. Lost track of time. Ended up showing up closer to 6. And wasn't too late at all. Everyone was drunk except for the kids. It was a big family. It was super sweet. They had taken over. They were outside at a neighboring agriturismo down the road. And I show up because I'm thinking, oh my God, is there anyone even going to be here? And come to find out it's her brother and like uncle, whatever. They're hard hitting the karaoke machine. Songs are being sung. Oldies are dancing. Kids are doing cartwheels. I was like, oh God, I love it. Now, like Jason just said, we were in the crunch time for the guests to arrive. So it was like, I can only come for a drink or two. And Jason, we brought them a gift for the kiddo. And Jason did an excellent job and picked out like a Nerf
shoots like Nerf darts.
Nerf dart gun.
Can't go wrong for an 8-year-old or 10-year-old
with that. So the kid was actually so sweet because I had never met him before. And sometimes kids are like, if they don't know you, and
sometimes kids are
like, oh, thanks for the toy, whatever. And so I give him this. He immediately lights up, thumbs up, sees that there's also an extra pack of the darts, hands it off. There's like 2 guns in the thing. They hand it off. Him and his cousin rip it open. They start loading it up and start shooting their cousin, the little girls from across the yard. And I just loved it. I come from a big family, and I thought, oh, that makes me so happy to see. And then I saw these beautiful cakes, and I was like, Barbara, where did you get these? I've never seen cakes so
like traditionally
like American decorated, real like with the fondant and everything, and like a Jurassic Park themed one, and then one for the like a beautiful one for the 3-tiered one for the communion. And she goes, they're fake. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, we just have a sheet cake inside that we're cutting.
Sheet cake.
I know. That is right. You could say that again. She's like, let me get you a slice. I was like, don't worry about it. Because I'm not a cake person anyway. But it was so charming and sweet, and definitely not what you think of as a first communion party with everyone just everyone was real dressed up, but just real sloshed. It was 6:00. They were going strong, and it
solidifies.
That's what I was just going to say. When I got home and I said, oh yeah, they weren't going anywhere. They were going strong. And when I asked, I double checked. I said, what time was the first communion? Because I thought, wow, they're all doing great out here. They said 10:00.
So that means communion was 10 till 11. You
did some photos and stuff at church.
You were there at noon,
and it's 7 when I left, and they're still going strong. Jason and I immediately looked at each other and were like, "This is why we don't do lunches."
You want to be invited to the Sunday lunch. You do not want to host.
I have said this for years. You do not want to host hosting Italians will be one of the most exhausting, worst events that you do. Being invited to go to an Italian event will be one of the most enjoyable, memorable, entertaining nights of your life. But there's so many rules with Italians. We don't need to get into all of this right now.
This is Sunday night. They've been here 7 hours.
Yes.
It's lunch.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, we got other stuff to do.
It's time for another,
this lunch was $30 a head.
Totally, you gotta go. You gotta go. Oh my goodness.
And we gave you guys a sconto, so it's not even, but it was fun. I love that stuff. How long are we? Should we save the rest for another podcast?
No, we're 40 minutes. What else? Oh, fixing our road.
No,
okay.
I went to the doctor.
Oh, you're the doctor?
Well, you tell a story.
Wow, you went to the doctor, huh? They found something.
What I love is we joke that our physical therapist is our general practitioner because he basically is.
All of our problems stem from muscular and skeletal.
Exactly. Even when I had the fat polyp, he found it because I was there for something else, and he was like, "Oh, you should get that checked out." Anyway, I went in for the groin injury earlier mentioned, and long story short, he sends me to go. He thought he got nervous that maybe there was a circulatory problem. And so he sent me to a doctor that I've gone to before to see with a girlfriend of mine when she was visiting for a circulatory problem. And he is a semi-retired doctor who works out of his home in Urbino. And when I say works out of his home, I do not mean he has a separate office, a separate entrance, garage.
Yeah.
This is you come in through their front door, you go straight into the right, and it's their living room with all of their family photos, the Christmas pictures, the fireplace, his desk overflowing with books and papers, a examination bed with a what looks like a ultrasound machine, which is called a Doppler, because he checks your veins and arteries. Now, it's like a hour drive from our place up there. I was like, can I run to the bathroom real quick? He's like, of course. Through the little curtain ways, which is the kitchen, up the stairs, past the bedrooms, in between the parents' and the kids' bedroom is the bathroom to go to. Like, all their colognes, their toothbrushes, everything. It's just kind of wild. You go down, he's really sweet. He said my veins and arteries looked great. There was nothing to worry about my circulation. And that since I'm so tall, it's so important that my veins look so beautiful, which I thought was really interesting. If I was short, it wouldn't matter at all. $50 later, hugs and kisses, and I told him he's really sweet, and I told him I hope I don't see you again for a long time, and took off. But it's just, at first, if I didn't know what to expect, it is just kind of like I'm in the guy's house and his wife's making dinner.
Yeah, it's old school.
I know,
it's nice.
It really is. It's really nice.
I mean, that's so much nicer than just being a number on a piece of paper and you have 12 minutes and then when he wanted me to get my thyroid checked out, and when I did that, he wanted me to send the results to him, and he's great. But it is a different old school world. Yeah.
I love it. $50.
$50.
Mm-hmm.
That's private. That's not going through insurance because this is a private doctor.
Yeah.
So
cash.
The whole thing's $50.
Yep.
Not $50 copay.
No.
Okay. Our road. So our road is we have 5 different villages who have a piece of are responsible for a section of our road, which is from start to finish, from one end of the valley to the other. Let's call it 10 kilometers.
Exactly.
All right. 5 different villages,
and we live at about 6.6 kilometers in.
Yeah. So we live at 2/3 down the way. All the villages are reluctant to fix our road and fix the road. It's in various states of disrepair. I have grown to love it not love it, but embrace it, because I realize there's no changing it. And 2, there's certain advantages to having a crappy road like this. One is looky-loos and people who don't really belong coming down this road, stay the hell away. Number 2, thieves.
Coming from a hospitality place that welcomes guests, you know what? Stay the hell away.
Number 2, thieves. I don't have to worry so much about thieves, knock on wood, because you got to really know that someone's down here, and this road is... we don't live where the road passes to a major artery.
Oh, yeah, it's not like you're getting a fast getaway.
No, there's no fast getaway on this road. We can hear you coming from either direction. And
all the holes.
And number 3, it keeps the bureaucracy away as well. The people who come and check out things, different red tapers, bureaucrats who want to come and
the general word out here is called control.
Control. Different control who want to come by are very, very reluctant because it's the roads. Everyone knows the roads.
And after all these years, as deliveries and things have gotten more advanced, let's call it, you figure it out. Deliveries get left in Piobico at the one of 2 cafes. If it's something real big, they reluctantly make their way down here.
And if I can, I'll meet them at the beginning of the road. But
it's kind of worked itself out.
Exactly. So I'll never own a beautiful car. We'll never keep a car clean. We'll never have a nice car. It's okay. I'm not that into cars.
We'll never have great suspension.
No, we'll never have great suspension. But however, the other day, someone from our comune, Sant'Angelo, our village, which has never come out, showed up with heavy equipment, and he started digging away at. It's not a continuous. The problem also is each village doesn't have a continuous piece of road because the dividing lines between the villages is the river, which snakes back and forth. So they might have 300 meters here, and then
2 kilometers.
2 kilometers down the road, they have another, 1.5 kilometers kind of thing because the way the villages are worked out. So he shows up. A couple of guys show up with heavy equipment. They start widening. They start clearing the trees that have taken a road that can pass easily 2 tractors, in opposite directions. Everything is grown in so much that now it's just a 1-lane kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
going
this
on.
is like
So they're exposing meters of road. It's nice and wide, and now they've cut the trees back so the light gets on it. Now they're digging out the sides of the road to redo the water where the canals go, and they're taking away like a lot of material. Like we're talking about 50 centimeters. They're digging down on the side of the road. And I thought, oh, this is great. Keep coming, boys. Keep on coming.
When we've heard, they've done lots of little repairs throughout the years or sections of the road, but never get to us because it's never Sant'Angelo. It's always Urbana or Piobico, which have the first sections of road that get fixed. But at a certain early point, it's still shit. So we're like, all right. Sant'Angelo's finally stepping up. Here we go.
Yep. So this has gone on for a week because it's a lot. It's Sant'Angelo. Our village has the most responsibility through the valley. Last week, our neighbor goes down and talked to him. So when you coming up our way, there's plenty of holes to fix. There's plenty of things.
I can't wait to see you getting further down the road.
The guy told him, "Oh, we're not doing that part of it. We're not doing that part. We're doing the first part." Disappointed again.
So what did he say to you?
He said to me, we should go and complain to the village. Now, we have done this several times over the years, either ourselves or with different groups of farmers and people other people who have turismos on the road. It gets you a dump truck full of gravel and go screw yourself. Here's some gravel. Go fill the. So we've made chain gangs and or road crews, and we'll take the gravel and fill the holes, which is actually kind of pointless. I mean, it'll last through the summer, and then as soon as the first rains come, the holes fill up with water. And as soon as the first tractor or first truck comes through, it knocks all the rocks out of the hole, and we're back to square one again. So this road will never ever ever be correct, which is okay. No,
it is okay. I know how to drive through it.
Pierangelo was hot the other day.
Oh,
he's
God.
our neighbor. He's the one. He's got a farm at the end of the valley.
He doesn't live along our road.
No, he has to go the whole road every single day,
multiple times.
So he was hot the other day, and I don't think he was. I don't think he liked that. I was just like, yeah, okay. So they're not coming up here. Okay, he's like, we need to go to the village, and we need to get them to do something. It's like, yeah, all right, sure thing.
It's not going to happen.
I'm with you, Pierangelo. I'm right behind you. Go for it. I don't know. I'm just jaded. I'm like, this is a waste of everyone's time. We've done this several times before.
We have.
Someone, like I've said, we're going to have to unfortunately have a serious accident on this road for something to get done. Like a big tractor is going to have to fall off the bridge or something, or a serious accident because the road is in such poor condition for anything to happen. That's really how things go here.
I don't know how a bridge holds so much water.
The one that turns into a lake every time it rains. Well, that's the one they're fixing. So, so anyway, that was big news on the Candigliano Valley this last 2 or 3 weeks was the work being done and not coming up. I don't care. I don't care. Last thing. Oh, this is a good one. Do you want to save this for the next podcast? Yeah, we should go.
I think so, too.
We're at 51 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Fine.
On the next podcast, we're going to talk about the digital nomad visa. What does it really mean? And AKA, Jason has coined this as the €1 house 2.0.
I'm a cynic. I just know that, listen, there's been so many articles about this new digital nomad visa for moving to Italy. And yeah. We'll get into it on the next one. Sure thing. And I will say really quick, though, that we went up with the first guests and checked out we went up to Acqua Partita to the Hunter's Hideaway, where our first pigs slowly curing up there. And I was able to check in on our guanciale, lonzo, culatello, and prosciutto. And which he was like, I don't even know what this is. It was a gigantic kind of It wasn't the big one we did. The big prosciutto was not cut. There was miscommunication. Yes, which is kind of funny. When I dropped it off, the owner, the head guy, is like, oh yeah, we'll clean it. I'm like, this isn't cut correctly. We didn't know exactly how you like to form it and blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of squared off instead of rounded at the top. And he goes, yeah, no problem. We'll square it up or we'll round it off how we normally do. It's not a problem.
Cut to the next day or two, they had on vacation.
Yeah. And we dropped it off right as the week before they were going on vacation. So it's nothing. It didn't get transferred down to the butcher, and it just got put under salt in the way it was, which is just this like giant hunk. It has no shape to it. It just looks like a giant.
It is.
It's just like, what the hell is
like
that?
A side of a pig.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. But the guanciales looked beautiful. The cheeks, and those are basically ready. The loin had about 3 or 4 more months. Because those were big boys. And the culatello, not too long, but yeah, he said that the massive prosciutto would be more than a year, yeah.
All right, well, something for next year. We don't need all of it at once.
No, we don't.
All right.
Speaking of, I'm ready for some ham sammies again.
We got to go clean.
I know.
We have so much cleaning.
All right. Thanks so much for listening.
If you trudge through this one, we appreciate it. Take us home, Ash.
All right. You know where to find us, latavolamarche.com, LATAVOLAMARCHE. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, whatever, all the places. La Tavola Marche. Have a good one.
See you next month.
Ciao, ciao.
Sentire Media.
Hey, podcast producers and show hosts. Do you want to join a podcast network that celebrates all things Italian? At Sentire Media, we understand the allure of Italy and its unique culture. Our devoted team of hosts and producers are all driven by their shared passion for Italy. And we work tirelessly to create the best lifestyle podcasts and content that will whisk you away to the very heart of Italy. With us, you can savor the mouth-watering flavors, get lost in the stories from the past, break down the cultural barriers, and truly immerse yourself in the vibrant traditions of this intoxicating country. If you have a great podcast idea or are already in production and would like to join Sentire Media, head over to sentiremedia.com, that's SENTIRE media.com, and find out how to submit your show.